The Landhonor Concrete Mixer is a budget concrete mixer with 3 methods of dumping: tipping like a bucket, a manually operated side chute of questionable usefulness, and most importantly, a hydraulically operated bottom chute. Being a budget model, it is very crude and, for example, is missing a direct connection for electro-hydraulic valves, needing external power supply. This is not a particularly big problem, though, because electricity is electricity, and if a factory can do it, more than likely so can you. I found a diagram online displaying the pinout for the skid steer and its multifunction auxiliary hydraulics. It will be linked in a Google Drive in the description, but I have the most important image on screen now.
Right now, this is how I have it connected up. I have an old car battery sitting there, and it has those two jumpers, and it goes to the connection for this switch here. This switch is what operates the underside chute. But I don't want it to stay that way with this stupid external component here. I want to wire it up to this thing here. So I'm going to start wiring that up in a little while. Okay, I am going to be finishing the wiring. I have my little fittings right here. These are the couplers that will go onto the skid steer. Here is the plug right here. This is what's going to screw on the skid steer. It's actually labeled on there. I don't know if you can make that out. Yeah, there it goes. Barely. I believe it's B, and I don't remember what the other one is. I'll have to look that back up. I found a chart online. I don't know if it's even accurate. So more than likely, I'm going to be having to retry this after the first one. Some of the most obnoxious saran wrap I've ever used on this stuff. I checked, and it is male side. It's male on the skid steer. I originally tried these ones here. I don't recall what size they are. I think they are like 20 AUG. These ones are, I believe they are 16 AUG, I think is what it was. I don't remember what it is. Let me get the light on this thing. There it goes. So I'm going to start by seeing how they fit in here. I have a pair of needle nose pliers. I don't know if that's how this works, but yep, that fits in there this direction, so that means it's going to go the other way. I'm going to need a operator and a ground, so I'm just going to shove this in. Oh yeah, that works. That fits in there just right. Okay, I'm going to go and cut the wire, and I will be right back. Just to show before I take it all apart, this is how the valve works. You have some hydraulics come in. The hydraulic hoses are right here. These ones are the feed, and that's going to go from here to this controls the bottom chute, this one right here. One of these is open, one of them is closed, and that's the valve down there, complete with concrete on the ring. And what happens is, normally whenever this valve is closed, this is an electronic hydraulic valve, whenever it's closed, the hydraulics flow through here to a motor on the side of this thing, over here. And it will power, whenever this is powered, it turns a valve, and that powers this here, so it comes out and goes to that valve down there. Right now, it's using this stupid little contraption right here. It receives power from a battery. In this case, I have these two little connectors here. It receives power from a battery, 12 volt. It goes in here, and then you flip it on, and that's what powers this valve here. It works. I'm not going to say I like it, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to unscrew this little cap here and pull this whole thing out. And I'm going to cut at somewhere up in here. I'm going to leave enough slack. If I get this wrong, I'll be able to reconnect it with some connectors. I don't think I will, though. So I'll get this cut and this removed and start work on it. Okay, I have all the wire off of the concrete mixer, and here are both of them. All I used to control, to hook to the battery, is these two little alligator clips. That's all I had. I would have gotten some alligator clips specifically for it, but I didn't have any at the time, and everywhere was closed. All I took was one of these weird little plugs for DC generators, and I took one side of the alligator clip, and I just squeezed it in. I even left the original spade connectors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that actually on one piece here. I will end up taking these off to use them for what they're for, but I'm going to keep this little thing here. This is actually pretty high quality. I'm sure that'll end up in a different 12-volt project of mine. Okay, I'm going to leave this much slack here and just cut it. Okay, blue is going to be ground in this case, red is positive. Okay, I'm going to leave a whole lot of slack on this thing because I don't know how much I'm going to actually need. This is probably enough slack here for attaching the connectors. Let me back you up here. I'm doing this at like 11 p.m. towards the end of summer in Texas, so there's bugs absolutely everywhere. On the tailgate of my pickup. Come on. I am going to be soldering this. Okay, that looks good about there. No, I'm probably not doing this right. This is how I do all my 12-volt wiring now, and it's worked so far. Come on. Yeah, that's not working so far. This wire is real small and hard to use. I don't have proper crimp tools, I don't think. I didn't realize I was out of frame this whole time, but that's a good thing. You don't want to see the mess I'm doing right now. Okay. Let's see if this works here. Yeah, that shouldn't move while I solder. I will be finishing this off with some heat shrink. So dark out here. Okay, that should work. I'll go ahead and put a little more there. Good enough. Look at that. I have some funny colored heat shrink just for this. Watch me put it on wrong and it shrink over the part I don't want it to. Okay, that looks pretty good. My crimper doesn't crimp small enough for this. Yeah, that works. Perfect. A little bit of red heat shrink. Okay. Now I'm going to thread it through this silly little thing here. There it goes. I will resume recording after I check the diagram. Okay, I have nothing to write down on right now. So B is ground, F is button 6. And that is what I'm going to attach. Positive is going to be F, and negative is going to be ground B. So okay, there's F over in the corner here. I'm going to take positive and slot it in there. And B, negative is going to be B. Okay. Now, that's way too far in there. Is this supposed to hold like this? Ooh, bugs. Ant in my shirt. Flying ants. Ow. Go in. They're seated in there. Real far. But that's not good enough. In case it isn't obvious, I have no idea what I'm doing. But if you're watching this video, then neither do you. I'm going to say that's probably seated well enough. I have no idea what's going to hold that in there, because if I know anything, those are going to push right out. you thread. Okay, there it goes. Okay, once that's threaded on, I'll tighten those screws down. Of course I use flatheads. Okay, we're back with the flathead screwdriver. When you're tightening these kind of split bolts like this here, you want to do a little bit on one side and then a little bit on the other, or else you get them crooked. Should have used a drill. All right. Now that is that put together. It's time to test it. I am going to be right back. I have to bring the skid steer over. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this. Okay, got plenty of dielectric grease. Something more. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hook this back up on the concrete mixer, and then I'll push this thing in. Turns out there are not too many places to put this stuff. Alright, hopefully that holds. Okay, that's plugged. Went in too easy. Now we'll try it. Alright, I don't think it's in deep enough. Be right back. Alright, I have it just plugged straight up there. Okay, that does prove that it doesn't operate unless there's someone in the seat. Very obnoxious. Alright. See that little light? That's telling me it's working. So my problem is in the plug. So that diagram does work. My problem is that coupler is not going in nearly deep enough. I don't know how to fix it. Well, time to experiment. Alright, I think I found something. Using one of these poker tools for seating O-rings, I shoved it in and it stayed. Once I had to pull back with the pliers so it didn't pull the coupler out. Get out, bug. Made the heat shrink too long on this one. Getting in the way. Come on. You can do it. You can't do it, can you? Probably gonna have to solder a new end on this one. One thing's for sure, the wire's gonna be stabbed all to pieces. Yep, that's not gonna work. The heat shrink's too long, it's in the way. Seems like I may have gotten some solder too wide on this thing. I'm starting to think heat shrink is not a good idea on this. Goodbye, heat shrink. No one loved you anyway. Alright, I think I've seated it. Yes, there it is. You can see this is F and this is B right here. Okay, I'm going to reach in. Alright. Dielectric grease is what all this goo is. Okay, that's in B. That one over there is in F. Perfect. Okay, thankfully still will not allow anything to go in the wrong direction. If I can figure the proper direction out, that would be nice. There it goes. There it's in. Right. How can I stick this thing? Stay. Okay. Alright. Found it. Interesting to know that plug actually works if there's Don't have to be in the seat, but that's it. As long as the keys turn to auxiliary. All right. That is a project finished. I'll try and get a video of it working later. Enjoy the low quality of the video, I guess.